Welcome to China Tech Talk, a weekly discussion of technology and startups here in China. I'm John Artman, editor-in-chief of TechNote, and as always, I'm joined by Matthew Brennan, founder of China Channel. So this week we have Dannie Li from China Tech Insights back on the show to talk a little bit about Toutiao. And so actually it's funny because Matt and I were thinking about maybe just talking about Toutiao between the two of us, but then Dannie published this great overview of Toutiao and their business and a little bit of their history onto China Tech Insights. She wrote an article there. We'll link to it. And so we said, you know what? Let's just have Dannie on to talk about it instead of just the two of us.
Yeah, it's always nice to have a different perspective on here, and we need more women, quite frankly.
We do.
Yeah, this is a problem in tech. In China.
Yeah.
It's a very male-dominated industry, so if anyone's made that observation, it's not deliberate. We're actually very, I don't care if we just care about content, right, and the quality, and that's all we care about, really. But Toutiao, super hot topic right now. So they've just got this new everyone's talking about this valuation of 20 billion USD, which seems extremely high for something in a category of a news app. But as we talk about later on, it's not really. That's actually a little bit misleading, right? It's not just about news. It's a little bit. They've got a bit of a broader vision for what they're doing. We'll put the article in the show notes. I think that it was a really nice article, and we expand upon it here as well. I think we talk about some other things which aren't covered, so it's a nice compliment.
Yeah, exactly. And so the thing is, looking at Jinri Toutiao, I probably just butchered the Chinese because the is always the hardest one for me. But so translate that into English. That means today's headlines. And so they started off as a news app, but they've, as you said, they've branched into different content categories. But so rather than a news app, it's more of just a content delivery system, if you will. But yeah, and so the 20 billion USD valuation is pretty ridiculous in my mind for any content aggregation platform. But that's where it is. And so Dannie gives us a pretty good background about what the company is, and also kind of how they've progressed, and then we talk about the future. So what the challenges are, and kind of how they sit inside the ecosystem, inside the Chinese app and content ecosystem. Because if you look at it, on the one hand, if their valuation is quite high, but their position, depending on how you look at it, could be seen as a little bit precarious, because they don't necessarily have an ecosystem as other large companies do. So we talk about that, and we also talk a little bit about how they're internationalizing. But without further ado, we give you Dannie Li. Well, Dannie, thank you so much for coming on to the show again.
Thank you so much for the invitation to speak with you two again.
So tell us, what is Toutiao, and can you give us some background or a brief history of the company?
Okay, Toutiao is known as a news app, or more specifically, a news aggregator. So the keywords here are aggregation and recommendation, personalized recommendation. It is founded in 2012. It is a content distribution platform which provides articles, images, videos, and even Q&As on the platform. And as claimed by Toutiao, it has 180 million MAUs as of 2017. And so from the valuation in 2016, it has been valued more than 10 billion. So it is among the tech unicorns in China. As we all know that we have in tech giants as BAT, Baidu, Alibaba, and Tencent. And then there is the second layer of tech giant, which is Toutiao, Meituan, and Didi. So that is the brief history of Toutiao. And Toutiao is founded by a techie man who is named Zhang Yiming. He is a coder, and he's in his 30s.
Founded in 2012, now to 2017, and one of the reasons that we wanted to have you on today was because you wrote an article about how BAT, so Baidu, Alibaba, Tencent, are becoming a bit more concerned about Toutiao. So what is their position in the Chinese app market right now, in the Chinese content market?
I think the major reason that Toutiao has raised the attention of BATs is because he's growing too fast. You know, the app is built like 5 years ago, but now it has if we are telling from the monthly active user, it is around 20 something in the app market. And if more strikingly is that the average time users spend on Toutiao, according to the data from Quest Mobile, the average time spent by every user on Toutiao every month is like 992 minutes. And do you know how much time users spend on WeChat every month per capita? 1,192. So it means users spend the most time on WeChat and then spend the second most time on Toutiao. That is quite striking. And if we are compare Toutiao with the similar apps, including mobile news apps, including other news aggregator, it's only second after Tencent's news portal, Tencent News app. So that's basically the position of it in the Chinese app market.
Why do people spend so much time?
I guess we have to trace a little back to his history. Toutiao, in essence, it's an entertainment app. It is not a news app. And I wanna explain a bit. You know, we usually access information and news on news portals or news apps, like including Tencent News, Sohu News, Sina News, the big 5 or big 4 news portals in China. Those news apps are basically about serious news informations, you know. But Toutiao, I don't think it is a news product. It is more a mobile reading product. It is more about entertainment. According to Toutiao, the content on Toutiao, more than 60% is about entertainment content, which explains that why Toutiao is getting used so quickly. It's about entertainment. And then the second reason that it is people want to spend so much time on it is a pure mobile product. You know, in around 2012, people are switching from PC to mobile in China. A lot of people are like, the mobile adoption is popular since 2012. Since that trend, and then they launched a mobile-only app. I think that is another reason. And then the third reason could be the keyword here is fragmentization. You know, if we are going to playing games or watching videos or reading a long article, you have to dive deep into it. You have to spend like hours into it. But you know, we don't have that much time to spend on entertainment after like 8 hours of work, after the so fast pacing life in China now. Anyway, it is hard to catch the user's attention for such a long time. So you have to make every means to attract users, to make them spend their fragmented time on your app, like when they are commuting, when they are having dinner, when they are like on bed before they fall asleep. Those fragmented time is taken by apps like Toutiao, which provide fragmented reading articles. So that is the third reason. I think the fourth reason is that their recommendation is very accurate compared with traditional news products. You know, in traditional news products, they only supply a limited amount of content, which is selected by editors. So it is not users who decided what to read. It is the editors who decide what to read. And the amount of content is limited. However, in Toutiao, the supply of content is endless. You can scroll down again and again to get endless access to content. And also the content you are reading is recommended according to your reading history in Toutiao, which is like related to what you are interested. So if you are reading on Toutiao, you must feel like you are addicted to this kind of thing to keep scrolling down. So I think the above four reasons are why people are spending so much time on Toutiao.
Yeah, and so I'm curious, and so you made the distinction earlier between deeper news or hard news and entertainment, and so in this case, like, what do you mean by like entertainment news or entertainment content? Are you saying like information about celebrities or things like that, or is it just that the content itself is more easy to digest and a bit lighter, not such heavy topics?
Yeah, I think it's both. In format, it has to be shorter, and in content, it has to be like not so hard news, not so about international issues, about political things like that. It's more about like celebrities, foods, and games, something like that. So I think you are making the point, in both perspectives.
Yeah, that's
well. Let's be honest. A lot of this is like cat gifs. Okay, it's like it's very low content. Like it's just mindless crap.
Right.
Yeah. That's one thing that Total has been blamed, that people say that the platform is providing too many like low content.
Very low. Yeah. If you get on the app and use it, you'll see. It's so similar to Facebook, quite frankly. This is everything you've said there. Just to me, just says like Facebook newsfeed.
Like exactly like the Facebook newsfeed. Yeah.
Yes,
it's exactly the same.
Total is the initiator of apps who are like creating the newsfeed things in China. But I think it's much like the newsfeed of Facebook.
Yeah. The only question in my mind is why WeChat never did this years ago. They could have killed Toutiao. But anyway, I think we'll come to this later on. It's more of a complex question. But essentially, the WeChat never fully embraced the Facebook model. But Toutiao did. Just the basics perhaps on their business model. Danny, like how do they make money?
Of course, it is like when it comes to content distribution platform, the major monetization ways are ads and paid content. But you know that paid content is just it's just become popular in China in recent 1 or 2 years. It's not so big a market. People are not used to pay for content. So the major business model now for them is ads, is newsfeed ads and video ads. And video ads is what they want to do this year. Their focus of monetization this year.
Eerily similar to Facebook again. So what's interesting about Toutiao is, well, one of the things is that it's independent, right? It's not, they haven't really been backed by Tencent, Alibaba, Baidu, and they've largely avoided being cloned sort of by those guys, or successfully cloned in the same way that Snapchat has in the States by Facebook, but without being backed by one of the big guys. What is that a long-term risk for them, and how have they managed to maintain that? It is quite special that an app can get this important, this large, and not come under the influence of one of those guys.
I think Toutiao can be cloned, but it is not easy to be surpassed. If we are talking about news aggregator, we know that there are a couple of other news aggregators in China now, but Toutiao is taking like the majority market share. And why it is not so easy to be surpassed? I think it's because first, it has already a huge user base, and second, their advantages in algorithm. I think in the moment, their edge in technology, in the AI recommendation scheme, it is not so easy to be copied, and also their algorithm has been updated as long as more and more users are coming to their platform. Their algorithm has been trained to be more and more accurate, so it is not so easy to be surpassed. However, I don't think their risks is in being surpassed by another news aggregator. I think the risk for Toutiao is in how it could be how it could keep the growth rate in the future, and how it could gain more new users in the future. Because what I notice now is the growth rate of new users for Toutiao has dropped in 2017. Toutiao experienced its prime time from 2050 to 2060, but entering into 2017, the growth rate has been slowing down. No matter in terms of new user acquisition or the average time spent on Toutiao also decreased if you refer to the data report by QuestMobile. And I think there are several reasons why Toutiao has to be quite alert that it's a new user gaining and users time spent on Toutiao. First, I think the mobile reading market is not a so huge market compared with instant messaging. The monthly active user of the mobile reading market is about 550 million. So the penetration rate is like around 50-100. So the market itself is not so big for Toutiao to grow into something like Tencent, Alibaba, which is ecosystem companies. They have game apps, they have e-commerce apps, they have instant message apps, but Toutiao is only like a content distribution platform and reading app. And secondly, I think Toutiao is not only a news app, it is an entertainment app, which means the rivals competing with Toutiao is not only news portals, is not only 一点资讯, is not only 天天快报. The rivals competing with Toutiao should be like Kuaishou, the video streaming, the short video social community, like Momo, the live streaming and stranger social platform. They are competing with all other entertainment apps. What they are competing for? They are competing for more users. They are competing for more time spent on them. So I think that's quite challenging for Toutiao to gain more time spent on it when it is faced with so many competitors. And I think another challenge for Toutiao in the future is, since it started the newsfeed trend in China, the personalized recommendation trend in China, many other players has followed suit, like including the social platform Weibo and also WeChat, and also like the mobile browser UC Toutiao, owned by Alibaba. They all catch up with the newsfeed recommendation trend. So if we compare compare Weibo with Toutiao, the advantage for Weibo is that there is the relation chain on Weibo. What does that mean? Why does it make an advantage for Weibo to have the relation chain? I think there are two edges. The first edge is that the retention rate. How could you Chinese people will update their phone like once a year around, according to Weibo CEO Wang Gaofei. How could you assure that people will download Toutiao again if they update their phone? If I have friends on Weibo, I will download Weibo, I will download WeChat. But if I don't have social connections on Toutiao, I might not use Toutiao again. I might just use the newsfeed on Weibo, right? This is one risk. And another is the longer time spent on Weibo. If we have I have social connections, I have newsfeed, I have all those things on Weibo. If I can do all that on one platform, I might not use Toutiao again. So, and I think that's the major risk that Toutiao will be faced with in the coming years.
Yeah, that's super interesting because, like what you were saying before, with the Chinese internet right now, there's that first layer of BAT, so Baidu, Alibaba, and Tencent, and the second layer is TMD, Toutiao, Meituan Dianping, and Didi, and it really does seem that, in part just because they were some of the first large companies, BAT, they've created these ecosystems around their company and around their business, whereas it seems like for TMD, they have their prime offering. But there doesn't seem to be an ecosystem around that offering.
Yes. So if Toutiao is going to keep its I think it is easy to survive or to keep as a content distribution platform that earns many earns money. But if it is going to challenge the BATs, it would be not so easy for Toutiao. So that's why they are and marching into so many other new fields in this year. Including like videos, including Q&A, including social. They're adding their social connections. So that's and it comes back to the question why Toutiao could be valued so much. It is not only because it has proved its profiting ability. It is also providing with so many other new stories for the investors that showing it has the potential to grow. It has new stories.
Yeah, exactly. So I mean, so kind of going with what you were just saying. I mean, like, why is it valued so high? And to your mind, I mean, is this valuation actually justified? I mean, like 10 billion USD is a lot of money.
It's already like 20 billion USD, and that's quite high for a mobile reading platform. So it come back to the valuation. I don't know how specifically they value a company. I'm not like major in the finance or something. But I have estimations why it is valued so high. First, as I said, you have mentioned so much time that Toutiao is quite like Facebook, right?
Mm-hmm.
No matter like in the scale of user base, the way they provide content and the way they make profit from ads. So that's the point. Toutiao is competing with apps like Facebook, like Weibo, like Baidu. They are in essence they all are content distribution platform. So they all competing in the ads market.
Right. They're all essentially feeds. They all monetize the feed in roughly the same way, and people go there to waste time.
Yes. Toutiao started monetization back in 2040. In conclusion is that it has proved its capacity in growing new user and in growing profit out of advertising. And the third reason is what I mentioned before, that apart from the mobile reading platform, the company has launched many new businesses, like one of the most trending one in China now, the short video business.
Right. So I mean, as with many startups, the investors are really kind of banking on the absolute potential of the platform, of the app, similar to the crazy valuation that Uber has seen in a lot of ways, because its backers were kind of were betting that it would become the number one or perhaps the only transportation option in those markets. So what about, I mean, like Toutiao is actually really interesting because it's in China especially, there's always some type of controversy going on. And in Toutiao's specific case, it seems like every single time that they announce some type of new funding round is when the controversy kind of bubbles to the surface, to the point that they're not the most recent rumored one, but the one before that. But actually, it was supposedly finalized at the end of last year, but was not made public until April of this year. And then the funding round. The most recent one that valued them at 20 billion USD, it's still rumored and it is not actually official yet. So what are some of the controversies surrounding Toutiao? And have there been any public arguments between them and content producers or other companies?
Yes, I think there are many three controversies around Toutiao. The first one is their origin of content, because in the beginning, Toutiao use technical ways to drag content from online, so it is not authorized. It has been sued by newspapers, by news portals for being drag their content without authorization, without paying the copyright monies for them. This is the first controversies they have been faced. So that is also their focus of their business in since 2015, because in 2014 it has been sued by many news portals. So since then, it has been its own We Media platform. Matt, can you explain a bit what is like We Media platform? Like so many content platform has launched.
You mean the concept We Media? Yeah, it does confuse it. It's just like self UGC. I guess a little bit like it's content made by individuals typically rather than formal entities, but media, etc. And We Media, so usually it refers to like people who do this on a regular basis and have built a following and sort of like famous on the internet.
So like in as of the end of 2050, there are only 45,000 Toutiao Hao on Toutiao. And as of the end of 2060, it has growing to like 400,000 Toutiao Hao. It has invested a lot of money in creating original content of themselves. But no original content to support We Medias, to support their content creators on their platform. And then the next controversy it has been blamed is its vulgar, its low content on the platform, as we have discussed prior. Many people has blamed that Toutiao is like some addictive drug that make users spend much time on it. However, the quality of the content is not high, is so low. And the third.
Just to clarify that earlier point, so like Toutiao Hao is actually kind of similar to a WeChat official account. So essentially they have an open platform that We Media, essentially individuals or organizations can open up and publish content on the platform. And actually those ones are quite popular, right? So I know from speaking to people in the Chinese media industry that it's actually Toutiao Hao. So Toutiao accounts are like easier to get views on than WeChat official accounts.
Why is that? I mean, what's the big difference between Toutiao Hao and Gongzhou Hao and WeChat?
I think it's just mainly the level of competition. The WeChat official account platform saturated.
Yeah. When you talk about WeChat OA platform and like the RSS reader in the US that is popular. I think there's one reason why RSS reader cannot be popular in China. It is that the users, it's just difficult for them, or it just spend time and energy for them to find content themselves. Toutiao don't require you to find content. They provide content to you. So I think that's one major reason that why Toutiao can take flight in China. However, like Flipboard China is not so popular.
Right. So this is like a lot of people talking about this because this is a trend, a really, really broad internet trend of how it's moving from pull to push. Pull being Google, Baidu. I go in there, I want to pull something up the internet. I know what I want and I'm trying to find it. And then push being Facebook or Toutiao or Weibo. Or even in China, Baidu, when you go to use Baidu's mobile app now, it's got a feed on there as well. Everything's moving to a feed, and this is driven by AI. The AI is just getting better and better, and Toutiao's essentially the best at AI in this area. That's their competitive advantage. They've got a virtuous cycle in terms of they've got a huge amount of users now. The more users they have, the more data they have. The more data they have, the better their AI and the algorithms get. The better the algorithms get, the more users they get. So it's this flywheel virtual cycle. But it's interesting what you're saying about the actual content on the platform. To be honest, most of it early on was ripped illegally from other places. I don't think that's a controversial statement to make. And a lot of it is like cat gifs and stuff that's similar to Facebook newsfeed. A lot of it is quite this term low, right? They use low in Chinese, but it just means like
just low brow, right?
Say it.
Yeah, low
brow. There we go. There we go. Oh, yeah, low brow.
Low brow. I mean, the way that I think about it is kind of candy content. Like the entertainment value is very, very high, but then the actual let's say intellectual nourishment is very, very low. So yeah, I think that this term low, and so when Chinese people use that term low, they're literally using the English word low in terms of low brow, or as I just put it, low nutritional content. But it's fascinating to see like how this type of content, no matter where you are, whether you're in the U.S. with Facebook, whether you're in China with Toutiao, I mean, this type of content is becoming more and more popular. And for myself, at least, like I've had to really reduce the amount of that type of content that I consume, because I noticed that it was having a negative impact on my life and on my work. And so it's just really interesting to see that this type of content is so popular, but then also it does raise very big questions in my mind about, intellectual health or just mental health in people who consume this type of stuff all day.
Yeah, or podcasts. People listen to too many podcasts. That's also bad for your health.
No, it's the exact opposite. So we were just talking a little bit about kind of the current situation, and Danny, you've mentioned quite a few times now about the future of Toutiao and some of the steps that they're making to make sure they stay relevant, to make sure they stay sticky. So give us a brief overview. You mentioned video a few times. So why is video so important, and what are some of the other changes that they're making?
Yeah, video is definitely a very important focus of strategy for Toutiao. Because in the past 2 years, video, especially short video, has become the major, or is overtake text and images to become another important format of consumption, of digital consumption. No matter there's tons of reports on how videos are become more and more popular. And I think that it is natural. It is how we how the format of content is upgrading. We read articles, we browse through pictures, and then it comes to videos and live streaming. So Toutiao has launched three independent video apps. The first one is named 西瓜 Video, 西瓜视频. It is the video page of an app which has been spun off as an independent app. And then it is 火山视频. It's like a video community, much like a Kuaishou. And then it's Douyin, a very youngster-oriented app, which is much like Musical.ly in the US. The first reason is to keep up with the short video trend, of course. And then it is to keep users to spend more time on video, because according to the data by Toutiao, its time spent on videos in their app has been surged more than 600%. That is quite a lot. And there is also a search business. It has launched a search business within Toutiao. I remember that Toutiao called themselves a recommendation engine. Recommendation engine, you can compare recommendation engine with search engine. In search, you have to input a keyword and then search the things you want to acquire the content you want to look for. However, in recommendation engine, they you don't have to do search. They recommend things to you. But now, as they are growing such a huge user base, it is very natural for them to add the search business within the platform, like how WeChat has done within its app. And also there is social function. It is quite interesting that Toutiao is like using Wei Toutiao or Toutiao Hao or Q&A function to add the social relations on their platform, while Weibo, a social platform, is entering into the fields of personalized recommendation. So it is quite interesting that the two, the interlace of business of the two platforms. And also there is original content. We have talked about how it has been sued because of it has no copyright of content. So it has many strategies, including PGC and UGC, and also supporting plan for video creators to create a content pool to support the original content in case to be sued again for infringement of content, of course. And then there is globalization. And I think that is also the trend for Chinese tech giants, that when they are big enough, they have to venturing out overseas, especially into like Southeast Asia, into India, into those emerging markets, which is quite similar to China like a decade ago. When their mobile trend has not started or is just started yet in those countries. So basically, it's 5 strategic plans for them in this year.
I got one question about your personal experience of using these apps, because I know I use them all as well, but like I got my idea, but I wanted to just ask your impression. You use Weibo, right? You probably use some of the other news apps.
Not so much these days. Too many ads
from Weibo.
Yes.
Yeah, I would definitely agree with that. But is the recommendation engine, is this experience on Toutiao in your mind as a user superior to the other apps? Is it really superior?
Actually, I don't quite like the things they recommend to me.
Oh, interesting. Go on.
Maybe it's because I prefer WeChat or a platform to subscribe to those KOLs or those accounts that I am interested. I think it's more accurate. It's more to my interest. And on Toutiao, it's the content overall is not to my taste.
Sure, but the more you use it, the more you should discover stuff that is to your taste.
Do you use Toutiao much?
I use it a bit, and to be honest, my experience is the same. It does not feed me what I want, but then I'm a very atypical user. The amount of non-Chinese using Toutiao, I imagine, is very small. Yeah. So I mean, there's virtually no English language. I don't think I've seen one English language article on there. It's 100% Chinese, right?
Yeah.
And the content is tailored, from my experience, seems to be all not just Chinese, but very much mainland Chinese market. It's it's very, very local. A Taiwanese, I think, would probably not resonate with a lot of the content, for example.
Maybe it's
so I'm definitely not the target.
Maybe it's just because I'm in like I have enough supply of good content, especially in technology on WeChat. So I don't have that much time to explore Toutiao. So
Toutiao is also expanding abroad, right? Right, John? And they're going to they've already acquired a Flipagram in the States. It seems that I would guess that they're also gonna make some further acquisitions in this area. Knowing Chinese companies.
Yeah, and they have a website, topbuzz.com. TechNode was actually in discussions with them to have our content there. Nothing really happened for a few different reasons. Nothing negative. It just never really took off. But it is interesting to see that they are trying to expand internationally, and then the big question there is how well are they actually going to do? I mean, as we mentioned before, their product offering is very, very similar to what Facebook does with their news feed, and so if they're trying to expand abroad, I mean they're expanding into a market that already is dominated by this much larger company. So personally, when I'm looking at their chances, it doesn't seem, unless they can really offer a differentiated product, they're just going to be just another player in the market. They're not going to be as successful as they have been here in China.
Maybe Alibaba's UC can be a good example for Toutiao.
UC browser.
Yeah, UC browser. It is quite popular in overseas, especially in Southeast Asia markets.
I guess so. I don't think it's hopeless for them, but I agree generally with your point, John. They're going to struggle. Their model, they don't have the advantage of social, right? So Facebook's got that news feed down and ingrained with a lot of the world, and they've got social on top of it and messaging on top of it.
Well, Danny. So what about again? So coming back to the BAT TMD kind of dichotomy in the China market right now. I mean, so what do you think the chances are of Toutiao taking investment from a larger company like a BAT?
There has been rumors that Tencent is going to acquire Toutiao last year. If I remember right, it's last year. And just days ago, there's rumor that Baidu is going to acquire Toutiao. However, those rumors are both denied by Toutiao's founder. I think their business is doing well now. It's generating profit, and it's getting a lot of investment from VCs. So I don't think they need that much money from BATs. They don't have to take side. And then I think the founder, it has to do with the personality of the founder, CEO of Zhang Yiming. If you read interviews of him online, you will see that his ambition is not going to acquire by any of BATs. His ambition is going to launch a independent and even global platform that can compete with what you have said, Facebook internationally. So I think there is a small chance that it wants to take investment from BATs.
Yeah. I guess I mean the real question for them, not so much. It's not so much about how much money do they have to burn at this point. Yeah. I mean it's more about would there be a strategic interest in them being backed or to have some type of cooperation, similar to the relationship that JD and Tencent have, where by virtue of that relationship, JD has been able to take advantage of a lot of different integrations, and has been able to grow on the back of that strategic relationship. And again, I mean, the biggest weakness for Toutiao, as I mentioned before, is that it has no ecosystem of its own, and so getting some type of investment or cooperation with the BAT would give them almost automatically an ecosystem.
From this point of view, it is reasonable that in the future they might consider to take investment from any of the ecosystem giant in China. We cannot say that anything is 100% for sure, right?
Yeah, things move very fast.
Yes.
Look at Didi Kuaidi last year. No one saw that coming.
Yes.
Well, all right. Well, Danny, I think that's all the time we have, unfortunately. But again, as always, thank you so much for taking the time.
Thank you.
And to all our listeners, if you enjoyed this episode, we'd really appreciate it if you left a review on iTunes or press that star button on Overcast or hit recommend on Pocket Casts. It's a great way to show your support.